Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Leader Workshop series with Infopreneur Agency. And today we have Doepker. He is a 7-time best-selling author. He's done it for 7 books that he's written himself. And he's actually perfected the way how to do it. He's created a system that pretty much guarantees his spot in the bestsellers list. And that's what he's going to be sharing with you today. Actually, not just how to be a bestseller, but how to be a best-selling author in 5 days or less. All right. So if you have a book right now, you have, some readers, you have something to work with, then, you can use this system right now, starting, after this call or tomorrow, and start getting yourself on that bestsellers list. All right. So Derek is an amazing person. I've known him for many years. It's just by the fact that he's a 7-time author, he's written 7 books. It should speak pretty highly of him. And he's, again, #1 bestseller. He's beat people like Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield, the people who are in those industries that he's in. He's outperformed them on Amazon's bestsellers list. So that's what he's going to show you guys. It's really simple, really very straightforward, and easy to duplicate and use yourself. So that's what you got to get ready for. Go ahead and get some paper and pens ready to take notes. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat box, and we will get to you. Okay. So without further ado, Doepker, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Omar. Appreciate you having me on here. I'm excited. I love working with this group of people, the infopreneurs, people that have a message that you want to get out in the expert space, especially the transformational space. And I want to thank all of you here for showing up, being a part of this, participating. And I promise I'm going to make it well worth your while, get all your questions answered. If for some reason we don't get to all the questions, I'll make myself available. You can contact me through email. So I want to let you know that you're totally supported as my thank you for being here. So with that, we'll jump right into it. There's going to be quite a bit that we're going through today. And let's get the screen share going. And let me know, do you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Omar, you can let me know. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, we go ahead. Yeah.
All right, let's get into this here. So this is your bestseller journey. It's about your path to becoming a best-selling author. And you can do this in 5 days or less. And that's actually ideal. You kind of need to do it quickly because as you'll learn, the launch strategies, you want to get a lot of sales in a shorter period of time. We're going to go through the process of how to do that and how to set yourself up for success. So this is for you. If you're brand new, if you're aspiring, I heard, you might just have an idea for a book, hasn't even been started, or you're in the process of writing a book. This is the perfect time to learn this because you're going to see how to set yourself up for success. A lot of it, the 5 days or less happens because you've done the upfront investment of your time and energy to really get all the pieces in place so that when you launch a book, it launches to the bestseller, top of the bestseller charts. It's also for you if you're like, well, I already have a book out. What do I do? As Omar mentioned, you'll get some very practical strategies that you can take away from this training today, things that you can implement this afternoon to start increasing your book sales. And I also invite you to consider that a lot of these strategies, you can do a book relaunch. So if you have launched a book and it didn't quite hit the bestseller, #1 in the bestseller chart, you can still implement these strategies and do that relaunch to get to the top of the charts. So this is where I want to get some feedback. Which of these apply to you? Where are you at in the journey? So I heard from a few of you. You can share in the chat box, please. I want to get a feel for where people are at, and I can custom tailor this a bit to people's needs here. So we'll look at the chat box here, see what's coming in.
So what was the question? You want to repeat it one more time?
Yeah, which is for you. So do you already have a book out, or are you in the process of writing a book?
Okay. Eileen has a published book by a publishing house. Yeah, she's asking, will this help boost it?
Yeah, so you can do, even if you've, some of the strategies I say self-publish, you can actually do these strategies if you have gone through a publishing house. If you remind me, Eileen, when I get into something, some of the advertising methods, there's a little bit of a workaround that you needed to do with that. So I'll briefly mention that if you remind me on how to do that. I'll just let you know right now it is possible. In the process of writing a curriculum that will become a book from Melody. Awesome. And I love that. I'll make a quick note on that. That's multi-purposing, right? You can have content that's a book, part of a course, part of a curriculum. A lot of your content can be purposed in different ways. So in process, Gordon, awesome. Is that BASM or BASM? In the process, no book yet, in the process. Rick, I published a book last year, hope to have another. Awesome. Mike, have an audiobook about making money in the new economy. Audiobooks are, I won't touch upon this too much today. I'll just say that once you have a book out, getting an audiobook out is really good idea. Actually, a good portion of income comes from audiobook sales. Have an idea for some children's book. Okay, awesome. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. And so I see a pretty good, a couple of you have a book out. Many of you are still in the process of getting a book out. So this is perfect for you either way. And what I'll then make sure to really cover some of the things, the in the process sort of strategies and what you do there. So you're going to discover today the 3 biggest mistakes authors make that sabotage their success and how to fix them, how to get reviews and build your audience. And this is one of the biggest challenges. What if you're just starting out from scratch? How do you actually get people to start finding your book, leaving reviews when you haven't built up an audience yet? And the most powerful form of autopilot book promotion to sell full price books consistently. It's led when I implemented this at first, $3,500 in extra book sales in less than 8 weeks. I've since continued to optimize and refine it. This, as Omar framed this up for those of you who are getting the emails, heard the idea that, oh, a book's just a business card. You don't make money with a book. Well, what if you could have both? What if you could have a business card, build your authority, and make hundreds to thousands of dollars for having that business card? And that's pretty awesome. So for me, I've made a nice chunk of extra residual income each month from having books. And some people, they take the approach, I've had 7 books. You can see I'm a multi-book author because once you get this, it's like, I want to keep doing it. Some authors have gone way beyond that. I mean, Steve Scott, he's in the tens of thousands a month. I've heard like crazy, like $30,000, $40,000 a month. Now that's not typical, and that's not where most people get at or even want to get at, because that's just making a living out of publishing books. But that's the power of understanding how to leverage Amazon in the system that will basically just bring people to your book and to your work while you sit back and let it happen. But of course, in order to do this, it does take work, and it is building a business. So we're going to talk about how you build those systems and get things set up for success. So what I'm sharing is based on my experience. It's based on many students that I've worked with. And I'm talking to primarily nonfiction authors today. I do see children's book in there. But I've worked with fiction authors. I've worked with children's book authors, recipe book authors. Many of the foundational strategies are going to be, first of all, evergreen, and they're going to work across multiple genres. And some things, though, they do change with time, and some of the things are genre specific. So I will point out the distinctions between that. So results aren't typical because a lot of people will just have an idea for a book and they'll never do anything with it, or they won't get the level of coaching and support that they need to really take it to this level. So your results, of course, are going to be based on your own effort, your own strategy, and the marketplace that you're in. I'll share a little bit about who I am. When Omar and I met, it was probably a Millionaire Mind, or at least some Peak Potentials event. Do you remember which one it was, Omar, specifically?
I don't remember.
It probably would have been a Millionaire Mind. Yeah. And at that time, that was back in 2012, I was a valet parker. I was a broke valet parker. I was volunteering at the events because that's about the only way I couldn't afford the things at the time. And at the same time, obviously, I was studying entrepreneurship, mindset, personal development. But I wasn't really a marketer. I was an artist. I was a musician. I wanted to make a difference in the world. And I thought, okay, so I know I have this interest in health and fitness and personal development. I want to be able to share that with people and find a way to get paid for it. And I wanted freedom, impact, the desire to use my gifts I had been given. So if you care, I won't read through all of it right now. Go ahead and share what are your reasons why, and I'll come back to it in a moment. But in the chat box, you can type in what are your reasons why you want to write a book. What's inspired you to want to write a book and to get your message out there, to make a positive impact, to make a difference, to have freedom to do what you love. You know, these were some of the reasons that were my reasons. You can share your reasons. And if this isn't your first rodeo with, like, you know, studying personal development, I'm sure you understand the importance that if you get clear on your why, that's going to keep you going through this journey, which will have its challenges. And I had a lot of self-doubt. Who's going to listen to me? I'm a broke valet parker. Like, have you ever had this question where it's like, wait a second, there's like thousands of other authors, and there's the Tony Robbins, and there's the Jack Canfields. Why is someone going to listen to me, some broke valet parker dude that just says, hey, I want to talk about personal development? And what do I have to offer that's going to be any different? So that held me back for a little bit. And what I found is, one thing is that people aren't buying what you say, they're buying how you say it. They're buying your unique perspective. So you all have a story, you all have experiences, you all have something personal to you that gives you your own unique style. And someone needs to hear the message, even if the message has been said in some form or another a million times before. It's the way that you have to say it with your background that's going to allow you to impact the right people in your tribe. And that's not just a pep talk. I will show you the numbers here in a moment of the actual kind of results that you can achieve. And so my early efforts, so they were total failures. So if you have a book out and it hasn't sold well, I can relate. My first 350-page fitness guide, I could barely sell to my own friends and family. First Kindle book sold maybe 3 copies in the first few months. And it was a struggle in those early days. And I was like, is this ever going to work? Is it me? Is it the systems I'm following? And I went to a seminar November of 2012. I learned a few key things. And I learned actually the number one skill. I think that's made the biggest difference in all my business, which wasn't a self-publishing skill. It was the skill of relationships. I'm talking to you because I have a relationship with Omar. Right? I mean, so relationships were one of the big keys to success in business and as an author. And when I had that missing piece, the skills of influence, some of the marketing skills, and it all came together. The third book I wrote, 50 Fitness Tips You Wish You Knew, third book I wrote and self-published, went on to become a #1 bestseller in diets and weight loss. Let me explain what that means, because the term bestseller gets thrown out a lot. This is bestseller in the paid chart, generating almost $6,000 in royalties in 11 days. So here I am, a broke valet parker, now generating $6,000, like hundreds of dollars a day coming in. I'm just like logging in, like seeing this. I'm like, wait a second, like this isn't supposed to happen. How did this happen? Like I was been broke, and it was that breakthrough moment. And I knew my life would never be the same. And I also knew, because I had set the intention before having that breakthrough, that once I figure this out, notice that I intended to figure it out. Once I figure this out, I'm going to share with other authors, other people who are struggling like I was, and teach them, because I knew I had tapped into something really powerful. Also wanted to make sure it was duplicatable. So these are some other results. You can see the charts here. Healthy Habit Revolution, #1 in health and fitness. You see at that time, it was above the tapping solution. Let's see Why You're Stuck, which was outranking The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. So those are just a few of the books that hit #1 bestseller, and not #1 in some obscure category, but we're talking about highly competitive categories, like some of the most competitive categories on Amazon, hitting the bestseller charts. And you see one of the peak sales days. This is not my everyday sales. This is on a big promotion, almost 3,000 ebooks sold in a single day. So how would you like to know what kind of strategies you can implement to generate almost 3,000 book sales in a day? I'd like to know that, say, I'd like to know in the chat box. And I'm going to see what's coming. I know some of you were sharing your whys here. So let's see. You want to reach, so Gordon, you want to reach and serve as many people as possible. That's awesome. And so Eileen, Organizing for Dummies, needs a boost for more sales. So I mean, you're going to get something today that you can implement that can, if the book, I'm assuming, Eileen, let me know if it's already on Amazon. I'm going to share an Amazon strategy to start boosting sales right away. Melody, I'm starting a real estate school. The industry has an 80% fail rate in the first year, and I want to keep good agents in the business. Great. Yeah. So a book can be used for many things. and I'm going to cover that in a moment, beyond just getting royalties. Help people understand how the economy has transformed to the new gig economy or sharing platform economy. Yeah, Mike, so I've listened to some of your talks. You're educating people. This is a book for education-based marketing. So you're shifting their mindset. You're teaching them about the new gig economy, which now their mind is open, and there's a lot of other things that they're going to do and that you can do now, working with someone who's come in educated on the concept. Rick, to provide a new approach to leadership development, an approach based on engineering principles and systems thinking. So imagine, Rick, what you're doing is you're talking about leadership, and you're also combining it with engineering and systems thinking, different background that you have and a new way of doing things. So quick note, I love a lot of what I'm hearing because you're thinking about how do you do something a little bit different than what else is out there. So it's not just another leadership book. It's a leadership book with engineering principles. That's a unique spin. And that's one of the key things is how can you both fit in and stand apart? That's the paradox. You got to fit into the genre of leadership and yet stand out and not be like all the other books on the topic. So many of you saying yes, you want to know. Cool. So basically, I want to give one key lesson and then really get into the training for you. The reason I share the story is to, first of all, who you're learning from. You know that the results are possible. The first books I had were failures, and then I learned processes that have turned some of those books around or turned around failures. And what was that original 350-page fitness book? A lot of the material in that got reworked to become the #1 best-selling book. So if you have a book out and it's not selling as well as you can repurpose it, you can repackage it, you can relaunch it. And this means there's no failure, only feedback. If you won't have the fear of failure if you value lessons more than successes. Just because it failed, I learned from it and I kept going and was able to turn it around, and you can do the same thing wherever you're at in the process. So really, I am committed to empowering authors with the knowledge I wish I had when I first got started. I don't have a time machine to save myself a lot of headache and struggle. What I can do is share with you today, here's what I learned. Let's get you set off on the right path, or let's get you on the right path if things have not been working out quite as well as you like, so you can start getting that impact, getting your book out there and start making some profit. So I'm going to share with you everything I can in this time. Omar told me we got about an hour and a half total, and we're already into it a little bit. So I'm going to share with you the overview of the process, how to simplify, systemize, practical, actionable takeaways that you're going to get so you can walk away with a clear path to success. And then I'll share a way you can go even deeper. And there is deeper lessons, deeper strategies to the self-publishing process than what we can cover today. And if you'd like to go deeper with me, I'll share an opportunity for that. And my question is, does that sound fair to you? Does that work for you? You can let me know.
Sounds fair to me.
Yeah, thank you. As I take a drink of water, I'm going to take a quick drink of water. You can let me know in the chat box there.
People are saying yes.
Yep.
Of course. Yes.
Okay, cool.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Now we go. So why have a best-selling book? Many of you are on here because you already have a desire to write a book or have it out there. So I don't need to spend too much time being like, here's why a best-selling book is great. What I do notice is that many people have worked on a book and it becomes a very, like, I have an idea for a book and it becomes a 5-year process to get it out because there's not that kick in the butt to go, I really have the sense of urgency to get it out. So let's cover a few key things that are really going to motivate and inspire you to get the book done if you don't have it done. And if you already have a book done, invest even more energy and focus on making the book as successful as possible. First of all, you get credibility and authority. Many of you know already, being a part of this group, that saying you're a best-selling author can get you open doors. I mean, I've been on podcasts and people get speaking opportunities, so many things that happen when you have a best-selling book. It's a lead magnet. This is one of the big things. I've used a book to generate thousands and thousands of email opt-ins. I've given away books for free, and I've given away a book as a lead magnet for free and sold the book. So I'm making money on a book that's also a lead magnet. A lot of times we think people think it's one or the other. Like, I got my free lead magnet book or I got my paid book. And there's ways you can have a book that you're getting paid for and it becomes a lead magnet, right? It's really best of both worlds. And that's one of the things that I teach a lot. So how do you get the best of everything? It's a business card, as many of you know. Talking to people, networking, you hand them a book. Typically, I mean, what are the odds someone's going to throw away a book versus keep it? and remember you and see you as the authority on it. And here's the big thing, and I sense this is a big thing for you, Mike, with the new gig economy. You educate your prospects. You educate clients. You have people come in pre-qualified. Have you ever had the experience where you've said the same thing more than once to different people, and you like keep saying the same thing and having to go over the same lessons with each individual prospect or client that you're working with? If that happens, then create content around it. So you create the content once and then you can share it. That could be a video, that could be a blog article, and it can definitely be a book where it's like, read this book first and then come talk to me. So for coaching clients I love, or potential coaching clients, I'd give them my book, Why Authors Fail. And that's actually, it's free on Amazon. And so they get that. So they're coming in with the right mindset and education before we go even deeper. And so that's one strategy. And the other aspect of that is when people find the book, Why Authors Fail, I frame coaching in the book. So I had my longest client, Emily, who's a romance author. She reached out to me for coaching because she read that book. She goes, I get that I need coaching now. She thought coaching was associated with sports before. She's like, oh, now I see why I need coaching. And imagine having someone come to you for your help and your guidance because they've been educated through your book. And then, of course, my favorite reason, you can actually get paid for it, right? Like you can make money with a book if you know the right strategies. So here's the three phases of a bestseller. You got to create a quality book that readers want. Cultivate an audience. This is a big thing. It's not just, okay, I got a book, now I got to get an audience. You want to really cultivate an audience before you launch a book, ideally. And then you convert those, you reach into book buyers. So biggest mistake, or probably one of the first mistakes that I see very common, is an author will write a book and then go, how do I make this a bestseller? I got my book done, now how do I make it a bestseller? And what successful authors do is they start with the end in mind. And this was a big turning point for me. And this, Stephen Covey, you start with the end in mind, work backwards. It's how NASA plans things. It's military strategy. What is the outcome I want? And then you work backwards. Now, sometimes we've heard, at least I've heard, you may have heard, ready, fire, aim, just get stuff done, get it out there. And there's an element of that in book publishing and entrepreneurship. It's not ideal for a book launch, right? You think launching a rocket, there's a lot of planning that goes into that. You want to make sure you have enough fuel in the rocket to break the outer atmosphere. If you only put in 50% enough fuel into a rocket, and to get out of the atmosphere, it gets up, a few thousand feet or whatever, and then it runs out of fuel, what's going to happen? It's just going to come crashing down. And it's the same thing with a book launch. You need enough momentum and fuel to actually break through on the charts, and then all these algorithms start working in your favor. If you just kind of sort of like, oh, let me do a little bit here and a little bit there, that it actually doesn't work as well for book marketing. So you really want to have a plan in place to launch it with a lot of momentum. So that means advertising, talking about your book and on a daily basis, and social media. All that's good for consistent sales, but for a launch, you really got to go all in. So one quick assessment, you can let me know in the chat box. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sure are you that your idea is something that people want? So if you're still in the idea phase, or you're still working on a book, how much have you validated this idea before you've even put in the energy to writing it? See, that's the key distinction. And that's what successful product creators do, is they go, what do people want? And then they go create that. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how well am I conveying the value of my book if you already have a book created, when I talk about it in my book's description? So let me know that in the chat box. If I see something that is not as high as you'd like it to be, in the Q&A we can dive into that. Of where it is. So you can let me know where you're at. I'm going to go on, but we will come back to that if we want to dig into, like, Derek, I'm a 5. What do I do about that? So here's the simplest tip, though. If you're not sure, get feedback and coaching. Feedback could be surveys. It could be market research, coaching. Could be any number of coaches in the space that you're in the book marketing and publishing space, to get some coaching on how to do that and verify that you have a winning book idea and it's presented well. If you already have a book out, I've said this before, you can always relaunch and readjust or repackage what you have. Some of my early books, they didn't sell well, but I repackaged it. You can rename things, retitle a book, recover a book, right? This whole re-theme, it's all good wherever you're at. The key thing is to get back on track and learn it now. Second mistake, not grabbing attention. Okay, so we're covering the foundation here, because really we're talking about before the conversion aspect, right? So this is the end in mind. And some authors, they go, well, how do I get traffic? And then how do I convert it? You actually think, how do you make sure it converts? And then we're going to cover some traffic generating strategies. Because if it doesn't convert, you could be spending a lot of time, energy, and money trying to get traffic. But then if no one buys it, what good is that? That's just a waste of time and money. So the second mistake is not grabbing attention. And I see this so much, especially with self-help, personal development, nonfiction authors. They fail to grab attention. And it comes down to three things. The first thing is you got to have a cover that's polished, professional. It doesn't look, you don't want a self-published looking cover. You want something that looks like it could be on a bookshelf at a retail bookstore. So these are my some of my covers. And I'm curious, a good looking cover, to put it into context, before I even ask you how much you think these covers cost, consider this. Well, let's start with that. How much do you think these covers cost? And they're not Fiverr covers. They're not $5 covers. For a professional book cover design, what do you think that these covers cost? And let's just take a quick poll and let me know in the chat box here. Okay. So many of you are very confident in your books, which are awesome. So $600, $50, $100. Typically a good book cover would be a few $100s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say like $100 to $200.
500. These were 30.
Yes.
Like, is it worth spending $500 on a book cover though? Well, consider this. If you could get a book cover made for $5 or $500, which one's more expensive? The answer is it depends. Because if the $5 cover doesn't lead to any sales, that actually costs you money. If the $500 cover led to thousands of dollars in sales, not only is that more affordable, it actually pays for itself, right? So think about that when you consider the value of anything. What's more expensive, $5 or $500 or $5,000? The answer is you don't even know until you know what the outcome it's going to give you is. So the empowering thing, I share this with you because I want you to realize that, it's worth spending that much, but you don't necessarily need to. And I see some authors or aspiring authors, they take themselves out because they go, well, it'll be too expensive. It'll cost me too much. And it's about being resourceful and knowing where to look.
Hey, Derek, one quick question. I think I saw it in the chat box too. Alexi was wondering which one converts of those books, those book covers that you showed. Mm-hmm. Are any of them like better than the others, like converting wise?
Conversion is probably going to be due more to the category and different things. So, these are for different books. I will say this. So if you're talking about which one converts better, so here's the process for that. I get a few different book covers made, and I covered this before. So getting feedback, right, is the lesson in the last one. That's the principle. So how does this principle apply to all the different areas of your business? Well, it means that I get a few different book covers made for the same book. So I had a few different covers made for, or variations made for Breakthrough Your BS. And then I surveyed people. I got feedback. And there's I can share it in the chat box here, I think would be the best thing. Let's see if I can type it in. Or remind me, yeah, here it is. So am I able to type it in? This is a link that'll take you to a place called PickFu. So I encourage you stay present on this, but you'll have it to go back to, or you could write it down. And it is an affiliate link. So PickFu is a place where you can run a survey, an A/B survey between two different covers. So I definitely recommend getting multiple covers made. And that's why it's nice to have like a $30 to $50 cover. Because yeah, you might spend a couple $100, but you'll figure out which one converts. There's strategies for using Facebook ads and different things. Not going to get into the technical details. What I will say is you do want to survey and test a few different covers, see what gets the best feedback, see what gets the most clicks on a Facebook ad, and that'll help you determine the conversion, the likelihood of conversion. So if that answers it, you can let me know, Alexi. That is the strategy. Same thing is going to happen with your title. Test it. This is why I say you start with the end in mind. You figure out what's going to be a bestseller, and then you go write the book. You figure out what cover is going to convert, what title is going to convert. I usually figure out the title before I start writing a book. You don't have to do that, but that's often the approach that I take. So here's what I see way too much of from the typical self-published author, especially in the how-to space. the title doesn't grab attention. So, look at these different examples and tell me how you feel. You can share in the chat box how you feel about these. How to be successful versus why you're stuck. Overcome your limits versus break through your BS. Have loving relationships versus the 5 love languages. Okay. Now, I get some different feedback on this, so I'm curious about where you're at. So share in the chat box, please. Do you feel a difference? Do both of them seem good? Does one seem different than the other? The A-B comparison. I want to get a feel for what jumps out at you and the difference between these. So we got, I love the second ones more than the first. The right one seems more emotional. All B's are better. So you like the second one's titles to the right drive more emotional response. All B. Exactly. So the second one's generate an emotional response. Now, how to be successful, here's what it really comes down to. That might have worked before there were 5 billion gajillion books on success, right? I'm exaggerating clearly. The point is there's so many books out there. You can't just think what sounds cool to me and like, oh yeah, let's just talk about this. In a bubble, it might make sense, but imagine your book is on a table with like 20 other books all around it that are on the same subject. Someone comes to that table, they see 20 things. They're not going to necessarily take the time to go through each one. What's probably going to happen? What would you do if you saw 20 books or 50 books all together on a table? What would you do? Would you take the time, look at each one, read the back description, this or that? Or are you just scanning to see what grabs your attention? That's how we are, especially now. Imagine thousands of books on Amazon. Imagine tens of thousands of books potentially in your category. So you're vying for people's attention. You need something that's emotional and that's attention grabbing. So a lot of time and energy goes into creating that perfect book title. And that's one of the biggest keys to success. So I'll give an example from another author, Steve Scott. He's a highly successful author. I mentioned him before. He makes tens of thousands of dollars a month in book sales. He knows what he's doing. He wrote a book called The Accountability Manifesto. And it kind of flopped. I mean, it still made decent sales just because he's got a big following. But it's like same marketing strategy, same email list, all this. It just didn't do that well. Why? Because really the first thing is people didn't want to hear about accountability. It wasn't a subject that was sexy. But the other thing is, even if the principles are good, the word accountability, the feedback he got is, in the entrepreneur space, accountability might be something we value. In the general population, accountability sounds like you're holding someone accountable. It's kind of like a negative connotation, that negative emotional response. So the book just didn't do that well because of the title, because of the concept, right? Incredibly valuable content, but didn't grab the attention and hit the emotional buttons that it needed to hit. And so that's why we can give you all the best marketing strategies in the world. You got to have these things in place first. So if you're not sure if it's good, and I already just typed that in, PickFu is my recommended service. That is an affiliate link where you get 20% off, ebook bestseller, secrets.com/PickFu. Then the third thing is you need reviews. So I recommend getting at least 10 to 20 reviews before doing any major promotion or advertising. So it's really important to do that. Like right when your book goes live on book retailers, you want people already lined up who are committed to leaving you a review for your book.
Hey, Derek, one question about that. I just found out on Amazon that you can leave a review without actually purchasing the book from Amazon. Is that like the same thing, or is it different value, a review from someone who didn't buy it or something?
Yeah, so it's a slightly different value in that you get a verified purchase if someone has purchased a book, has purchased it. You don't get the verified purchase, but that's okay. You can still have it. So there's some workarounds with that. You could have the person purchase the book on Amazon when it goes live. And so what I usually do, I mean, this is a technical detail, but you'd upload it, you'd have it at 99 cents. You don't really tell anyone about it except your reviewers, and they pick it up for 99 cents, right? You could do things like gift carding them, the $1 for it. What you don't want to do is actually incentivize a review. You don't want to pay someone to leave a review. You don't want to do review swaps. Some of these other things aren't within Amazon terms of service. But to just have someone say, yeah, I want a review copy, you can give away a free copy of your book. That's a review copy. Quick note, in case anyone's heard this, there was some an article that came out, sometime last year. Is like Amazon was cracking down on like giving away free review copies of things that doesn't apply to books. Advanced reader copies, free copies of books. It's been a age-old practice, and it's within the terms of service. You just want to make sure you're not like paying someone to leave your review. And it can be that they get the book without purchasing it. They can still leave a review. So how do you get reviews without begging friends, family, other authors? And especially because Amazon does have some algorithms that they go, wait, you seem to be connected. You seem to be friends. Somehow they know enough about you to know if you're friends with someone. They can actually take down those reviews if they suspect it's going to be biased. So you don't even want to do that anyway, ideally. So one strategy that you can use is to build your list before you launch your book with a giveaway. So a giveaway you see here, I did a giveaway of 10 personal development books. Since I had a book out, I did include one of my own, but obviously you don't have to include one of your own. This could be 10 business books. This could be 10 leadership books. This could be 10 thriller books. I mean, it doesn't matter what your category is. 10 popular books. You set up a giveaway, and this is bookgiveaways.net. There's other services and giveaways. The platform doesn't matter. So when you do a giveaway, when people sign up for the giveaway to win all these books, all these people are entering your email list. Then there's things that if you share the giveaway, right, you get extra entries. So now people are encouraged to share it. And I did this kind of half-heartedly, but it generated, I think, over 500 new email subscribers from doing this. And then you go, well, okay, so these are people that want something for free. They might not make the best book buyers. What you can do is say, hey, you didn't win the giveaway. Would you like a free to be part of a beta reader group is what it's called? Or would you like a free review copy of my upcoming book, whatever? Or if it's an existing book, a free copy of my book, whatever. And now you can have people coming to you saying, yeah, I'd like a free copy. And you want to set it up so that they do make a commitment to leave honest feedback for you. And that's the key. Not like you got to leave me a 5-star review. That's incentivizing. Would you leave some honest feedback in exchange, and I'll give you a free copy of my book. So that's a way that you can do this right now. If you're still working on your book, you can start building your audience now, today, by setting up a giveaway. So having a proper book launch, like I said, you're getting a lot of people purchasing a book in a short period of time also gets you more reviews. So make sure you have a beta reader group. Get at least 20 to 100 people in a beta reader group where they're getting a free copy of your book, they're giving you feedback, and they're saying, yes, by being part of this group, I'm willing to go leave a review on Amazon or other retailers. It could be in exchange for being a part of this group. So there's the rockstar method of cultivating a following. And so my question is, do you want to know the fastest and most effective way to build an audience when starting from scratch? You can let me know. I think the answer for many of you is going to be yes. This is the thing that one of the key things that helped me as I was getting started. I'm like a broke valet parker, all that doubt, right? Once again, like who's going to listen to me? It was by leveraging this particular strategy that showed me what was possible even when you're just starting out. And it's collaboration. Once again, I'm talking to you because I collaborated with Omar. Right? So think about what the most influential people do. They connect and they collaborate. So you can connect with influencers in your genre and get them to promote your book to their audience. That's one of the biggest things. If you're just building your audience, you're just starting out, and even if you have a big audience, who else can I connect with and collaborate with to work with? Now, there's deeper strategies to this. There's the question of, well, what do I have to offer them? What if I'm just starting out? What if they're more established? That's where I really teach in my training and in my inner circle. What are some of the psychological components? What do you have to offer these people? What I'm going to share with you now is the principle. And the principle is going in with a what can I give attitude and not just what can I get. And here's one tip to just be straight to the point. You can always give a compliment. You can always give admiration or appreciation for what someone does. I can tell you, being on the receiving end, I probably receive more emails that aren't written well, when someone wants to collaborate than that are. Something always grabs my attention and makes me at least consider, working with someone, is when they reach out and they go, Derek, I'm a big fan of your work. Here's what I loved. I read your book. This is the impact it's had on me. how could you ignore it if someone came to you and was, showering you with praise, right? So that gets a person's attention. And then there's so many ways that you can connect and collaborate in order to create something of value for them. Once again, I'd say look at Omar. And Omar, you are the role model of this approach of connecting, collaborating, and creating, using relationships to bring value to people. So the bestseller launch, here's what it's going to be, the process in a nutshell. Upload a book to Amazon, have people leave a review, as I mentioned. So what does that mean? You have people ready to leave a review before you hit the upload button. A free book launch, this is specific to Amazon, by the way. You can do if your book is in KDP Select, you can do 5 free days, and you can promote this on free book promotion sites. So there's a handful of sites that will promote your book for free. And this is another way, even if you don't have an audience of your own, these sites will promote your book for you. Now, whether or not you do a free promotion, I definitely recommend a 99-cent ebook promotion. So we're talking about the ebook, not the print book, although I would recommend having a print book as well. But with the ebook, you have it for 99 cents for at least 5 days, and you get sales spread out over the course of these 5 days. How do you get those sales? You're emailing your list that you've started to build up through different strategies. You're connecting with influencers who are sharing your book during this time. You're promoting it on ebook promotion sites that are 99-cent promotion sites that are out there that will show your book. And you also might be using something else that I'm about to share with you in a moment that can generate traffic and sales pretty much on demand with a few pushes of some buttons. After that, it goes to full price. What happens is when your book spikes up on the Amazon algorithm, because you got a lot of sales. I mean, my last book launch was like over 600 sales in 5 days. So when you get 600 sales in 5 days, Amazon goes, this book is hot, it's selling well, it starts pushing it all out. Have you been on Amazon and seen all the customers who bought this and hot new releases and all these things? You get emails, right, from Amazon if you're on their email list where it's like, I think you'd like this book and this book. They sell your book for you. That's the key thing, is that you just need to give it some momentum with some of your own hustle and some of your own legwork, getting some of those reviews in. And then a lot of the momentum is built where it's like launching that rocket. You just got to get it out of the atmosphere. And then once you've broken that threshold, the Amazon threshold atmosphere, now it's just cruising. It's just cruising on autopilot for a period of time where Amazon's algorithms are working for you. And so I would recommend spending at least a few $100 on promotion, on different promotion sites and different forms of advertising. And we're not talking about, there's campaigns out there that are like thousands of dollars for press releases and all this stuff that don't even necessarily lead to book sales. And there are some good launch campaigns and stuff out there. So I'm not saying that's everything. I've seen some authors that have spent thousands of dollars and got very little return. We're talking about just a few $100, $200, $300, $400 on a really good book launch, and you can make that money back if you do all the steps well and implement it right. That money can come back within sometimes a week or a couple weeks of sales that follow. So the next challenge, though, is you've launched a book successfully. You got some momentum, and you want to get a few hundred sales during this launch. How do you keep up those sales? And so what happens many times, and what happened for me a couple of years ago, is you'd launch a book, but then the sales would dip down and kind of the book would disappear, right? There's new books coming out. There's many other books in the genre. How do you stay competitive? How do you get those consistent sales? And this, by the way, even if you have a book out and you haven't done a launch, it's still applicable. Like, how do you just get sales on an ongoing basis? Especially if you have other things, you want to be writing more books, you want to be speaking, you do coaching, you have a training course, you have any of these other things. And I don't want to have to constantly be talking about my book and trying to promote it, or go to some book fair and spend all day there and I sell 2 copies of my book, and it's what's the point? So I'll show you. This was back in 2016. These are print book sales, and print books are not my main thing. It's ebooks. So my print book sales were less than $100 that month. Then I did what I'm about to show you, this type of advertising. Within a couple months, in August, it went up to $1,900 in print book sales. And then the next, okay, so now some people go, does this still work? Yes, this is December of 2017, $2,000 in print book sales from this type of advertising. That's not counting the thousands of dollars in ebook sales and audiobook sales. I was just want to show you, like, just from print books alone, which weren't really selling that well for me because most of my strategies were ebook based. This has allowed not only to increase the ebook sales, but also print book sales and probably the audiobook sales, although I haven't tracked it as much. So, like I said, it's not counting ebook sales. The results have been refined. That was in 2016 when I first implemented this, and it's continued to be refined. So the big thing here is, though, I mean, that's like, maybe that works for you, Derek, but what about me? Or what if I'm in a different category? So even in fiction, this is Emily, one of my students in both a personal coaching client and a inner circle student. She has her romance books. One of the ads, which you'll see in the red, means she spent $110. That first top left red box, she spent $110 on an ad, made $411 in sales. Is that pretty good? Like, would you like that? I mean, if you could put in $100 and get $400 in sales, would you do that? Or what if you put in $19 and got $108 in sales in return? Like, that's the power of this. I mean, even if it's just an extra $100, it runs in the background. And if you made an extra $100 a month in book sales, what would that do? Or if you made an extra $500 a month in book sales without having to spend a lot of time and energy into it, with something that you just set up, you let the ads run. That's the power of this. And this is Greg. He's a children's book author. He said, he sent me a text message in November and December. This was just last month. He sold, made $2,500 in royalties. After the ad spend, it was about $1,600 in profit. Okay. So that was like with one or two children's books. People are like, Omar and I, we were talking, like, people are saying you can't make money with a book. He just had like 2 children's books and made $1,600 in 2 months profit, right? That's what's possible when you understand these strategies. So imagine having a book sales machine that does the work of attracting these targeted book buyers to your book. So we talked about some of the upfront hustle aspect. Now we're talking about more, not completely set and forget, but getting close to set and forget, more set and check in maybe once every week or two. And if you could 10x your book sales, like you've seen some of the real world results, 10x your book sales, what would that do for your life? So imagine that. And if you don't have a book out yet, imagine what would be possible for an extra $100 a month, an extra $500 a month, whatever it is. So what's the secret? Let's dive right into it. This is a clever way of using AMS ads. So Amazon Marketing Services, that's the term. Amazon has a marketing platform where you can market your books and other products on Amazon. Some people try it and they don't work. I've certainly had that experience. I spent thousands of dollars testing and researching these ads, as well as working with different students to optimize them. So they work with any book in KDP, that's Kindle Direct Publishing. It can be run for as little as $1 a day, can run on autopilot, and allow you to be seen on the most relevant book pages. So let's just take a look here on Amazon so you really get an experience of this. So one of the things we heard, leadership books. That was one of the categories that came in. So let's say someone's looking for leadership books. We'll type this in, and I'll actually go, I mean, you could do all of Amazon. I'm going to do the books category. So leadership books. And I just want to verify you can see my screen, right? So thumbs up, Omar, you can see the Amazon. Cool. Okay. So what we see here is popular leadership books. Let's scroll down to, here we see one. It says sponsored. So Fired Up, this author or publisher or whoever it is, they're paying to show up on Amazon search results. Here we go, the Fido Factor, also sponsored. Let's say we click on a John Maxwell book, probably the most popular leadership author that I know of is John Maxwell. So now if you scroll down here, you see sponsored products. These are people that are paying to show up. Your book could be showing up on John Maxwell's books if you have a leadership book or whatever other kind of book. You have a business book, you can still show up on John Maxwell's, right? So these are authors that are paying to be here, okay? Now, there's 52 pages. Is this super competitive? It can be if you don't know how to break through the audience and if you don't know the strategies on how to actually get seen on relevant book pages and actually spend a little amount of money to get a lot of sales. So it can be competitive. You also, the results of myself and so many students has shown, you can show up and get sales and make the kind of profit that I was talking about by doing these types of ads. I'm pointing this out so you see how the process works, that when people are searching for related keywords and things with your book, you can be showing up in front of the most targeted book buyers, and they're looking for books just like yours. So the whole traffic issue, I do not know a better way to get targeted traffic. Even Facebook ads, which are great, haven't led, in my experience for me, into as profitable of sales as AMS ads, and they can be far more complicated than this.
Yeah, and I also want to just quickly point out that they're so subtle, like it's like you can't even tell that they're ads, you know? That word sponsored, it's like I don't even notice it, you know, when I'm shopping for books and stuff.
Yep.
I just think it's pretty slick. It's awesome.
It's super slick, and it works. I mean, at the end of the day, I've seen some people are like, well, does this really work? Or, you know, it seems like there's a lot of these other books, or are they going to see some? And it's like, just look at the numbers. Like if many other authors are running these ads and they're getting huge ROI, like 2 to 3 times more book sales than they're spending, then that should be enough to convince you that the potential is there. Of course, different categories have different types of results, but you can see in general, many authors are successful with these ads, and it's what I have been using for over the last year, and just like this was a game changer to discover this, or when they unveiled some of the new things within their platform that weren't there a year and a half ago. So here's the way it works. Once you have a book on Kindle, so many of you don't yet, but if you do, and when you do, you'll be able to refer to this here, which is ams.amazon.com. So this is the advertising dashboard. So you'd go in here and do new campaign, and they'll ask you to log in. If it's your first time creating an AMS account, it might have you sign up. Then you can do the sponsored products, which you saw. It's going to show the books that you have uploaded. So here's a few of my books. I do 50 fitness tips you wish you knew. So I'd select this book, you name it. And here's the great thing. Like I said, you can do $1 a day in ads. You can do $1 a day and run it for 3 days, right? So you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars in testing. You can test it for $5 or, you know, let's say $3 a day is a good starting point. I recommend. You can select a date range, or let's say run continuously. You can even do automatic targeting. Now, the results tend to not be as good. But if you're just starting out and you want to say, hey, let's see what Amazon automatically does for me, it's hit or miss. But sometimes I've seen some automatic targeting ads work, and you just set your overall bid, and it'll run an ad automatically showing your book on different book pages. We're going to do manual targeting, though. Manual targeting is giving you keywords that you can use. So in this case, I have a fitness book. It's already saying, hey, best ways to lose weight is a keyword that you could add. Easy ways to lose weight. These are search terms that have already led to people finding my book. Then you can add your own keywords. Let's say anytime someone searches for weight loss books, I want my book to be a potential thing that shows up. I can do that. Then you have the cost per click bid. It's 25 cents is the default for everything. There's nothing magic about that number. I could do as little as 2 cents. I could do as much as $1. I wouldn't recommend going that high, but you could do 25 cents. So now how does this work? If I have a $3 a day budget, you'll never spend more than that. And if it's 25 cents per bid, the way this works is, although you won't typically spend as much as you bid, you could get, in theory, 4 clicks for $1, which means at $3 a day, you could get 12 clicks to your book. Okay. So if you spent 25 cents a click and $3 a day, that's 12 clicks to your book each day with the way it's set up right now. I changed.
And Derek, do you think it's a good idea to stick with just 25 to test out and then change it based on the results, or what do you think? What would you do?
There's a couple different strategies, and so there's not one strategy I found works for every single book. This is why there's processes to figuring it out. But I don't necessarily. There's nothing magic about 25 cents. So if you really wanted to be conservative, you'd actually start with something like 5 cents. Okay, so you could start really low if you want to be conservative. And then if you're not seeing, then you'll probably scale up. So that's one thing that you can do. But the way the algorithms work, there's a few different approaches that you can take. And if you go too low, you just might not get any traction. And if you go too high, you might just spend more than more than you ever make in return. So what's that sweet spot and how do you find it? It's been different for each book. So this is why I work with authors and why I teach processes of how to find it. So for some books, you might be bidding a lot more. Other books, you might be bidding less. You need to find what works. So it's not quite as complicated as Facebook ads. And at the same time, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. If there was a magic bid that I could just give all of you and it would work for all of you, that'd be simple, but I haven't found, even for my own books, I'm testing and optimizing what the ideal bid is. Yeah, if you want to be super conservative, you could start with like 2 or 3 cents. You might not see anything, but you'd at least probably wouldn't lose too much money with that approach. And then what you would do is you would hit add. So it added it. You can see at the bid, you can add in more keywords. I could do fitness, diet, health. It could be multiple keywords. So I could say, like I did weight loss books. So you can add those in. And one tip is you want to have, I recommend at least 200 keywords. And the reason being is Amazon, you only pay for clicks. You don't pay for impressions. So if you put in keywords and they get impressions but no clicks, that's just free advertising. You're not paying for it. So this rewards having tons of keywords for your book with this service. Then you customize your ad. So this is where you can put in a description. This is where copywriting skills come in. I'm not going to try to do something super sexy. I'll just say, discover 50 fitness tips you wish you knew to lose weight and get in great shape. So you can see what it looks like. You see the ad blurb there. And if I come back to this page here, you can see under the sponsored products, you see some of the ad blurbs here. Equipping leaders with tools, attention leaders, and so on. So you see examples of ad blurbs. So that's the blurb. Yep.
One more thing. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Do you think, do you have any kind of formula or something that you found has worked for you with all your books, the ones you've tested out yourself, meaning the copy, like how the length maybe, or the how many words or what you say in it, Yeah,
once again, I found I test different things and it seems to be different for different books. And I say basic copywriting because there's things like for the book Why You're Stuck, it's like feeling stuck, ? So starting with a question, that worked pretty well. Words like discover. So I do that. Now you can achieve, stuff like that, but that's nonfiction. So one of the things that, Barry Wolf reveals, the word reveals. You can look at how's your digital business. You can look for inspiration on some of these things, but it's very much test and see. It's just like doing email headlines. You test, A/B tests. You run different things, and this is where the good thing is you can set up a few ads at a couple bucks, and you see which one's getting more click-throughs, which one's getting more sales and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't have an exact formula other than to say just implementing some copywriting skills into this. And I do train authors on copywriting skills and description writing. I know, Omar, you have other resources and things like that on copywriting. That's one of those foundational skills that like anyone in business, I believe, benefits from knowing, at least on a, maybe not a mastery level, at least being proficient in it. Because how much is communication, right? How much are you communicating and how often are you communicating with people, whether that's through email or these ads and anything else. So you would hit submit, and then within the next day or so, you'll get approved, and then your book can start showing up in these search results. So that's what's awesome about it. And then the other thing is you got to learn what you're doing. Otherwise, like any other form of advertising, you could lose money. It can be tricky to scale up. That's another challenge. You go, well, if I put in $10 and I make $20 back, like, why don't I just give Amazon $1,000 a day and get $2,000 a day back? Because they don't always take that much money and they don't always spend that much. So it's tricky to actually get like a high scale of book sales. It requires knowing the right method of targeting, and the research could be extremely time consuming. Like I said, you want at least 200 keywords. It could take someone hours to come up with 200 keywords. It actually goes up to 1,000 keywords campaign in a campaign. And generally speaking, the more the better, right? So how much time is it going to take you? Going through trying to find 1,000 keywords can be really time consuming unless you know some strategies, some tools, and some ways to really optimize the process. So the good news is, though, what I found through my my research and testing, you could potentially, everyone's experience is going to be different. From my experience and some other students that I've seen, get 2 to 5 times the money back on these ads. You can scale up in genres of the big demand. I've sold thousands of books through these ads, and you can get the research done in less than an hour when you know the tricks, when you know some of the resources and tools. Now, the third mistake I see is taking the dabbler approach. So you've learned about how, you know, the overview of the structure. And one thing that I see some authors do is they learn a bunch of stuff and then they get overwhelmed, and they're constantly researching. They're overwhelmed with all these ideas and information. They don't calculate the cost of free. So they go, let me try to figure it out myself. Let me try to go to some of these Facebook groups, or let me go to some of these forums and go to blogs and try to cobble all these pieces together. And they don't consider how much time that costs them. And then they try something and go, well, that didn't work. And they go on to the next thing. Yeah, I ran an ad for my book. Yeah, I saw that presentation on doing ads, and I set up an ad and it didn't make money right away. And so, yeah, I don't think those ads work. And it's really because they lack feedback. They don't know why something doesn't work, why it's not working for them. They don't understand if they're missing something else, or if something else in the sequence is off. And because of that, they're just constantly spinning their wheels. Worse, they never see results, or it takes them years of trial and error after wasting significant time and money to ever achieve any sort of traction. So I don't know how much this applies to your group, Omar, but can you relate to ever dabbling anywhere in your business? I know I can. Plenty of times I have more courses than I probably could ever go through in my lifetime that I got because I'm like, I'll need it sometime, right? And then it just leads to overwhelm, or maybe I could do, you know, chasing the shiny objects, any of that. So consider how much time does it actually cost you if you're dabbling and trying to, you know, put all these pieces together yourself. Well, there's another approach, a better approach, and that's the master approach. And that a master is going to find a proven path, and they'll follow it until seeing results. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think, you know, I'm learning from the instructor. I do the kick. I think I'm doing it right. But it takes time and practice, and they go, no, you got to adjust this, you got to move this, and you got to keep doing it over and over again until you see the results. It's not like you try it once and then you're a master, right? You find what works, find someone who can teach you what works, and then you follow through. You're willing to fail, but prefer to learn from others' failures. As a master, you focus on the 80-20. You prioritize what gets you the best results. You get coaching for your unique situation, and that's the big thing. You get that feedback. And this is what the most successful people in business, athletics, health, you name it, they get feedback, they get guidance, they get coaching, they follow a proven path. So question for you is, how would you feel if you had a proven path to mastery? So take a drink. Let me know in the chat box, first of all, if you could relate to the dabbler and how it would feel to have a proven path to mastery.
So how many dabblers or former dabblers do we have here?
How many of you can relate to dabbling? That's not necessarily where you're at right now. You wouldn't be on here if you weren't committed to mastery and learning. I know I can relate to dabbling though. Yeah, I can relate. Absolutely. Big Dabby. I can, you know, master over dabbler. Awesome. Yeah. And Ken Courtwright's awesome. Reading the customer's mind. So Kindle Unlimited says you can do it for free. So quick thing on that, if your book is in Kindle Unlimited, you do get paid when someone goes through what's called page read. So when they read your book, Amazon tracks that, and you get paid for even the free downloads of your book. It's usually not as much as an actual book sale. You do get paid for Kindle Unlimited. So you'd feel better. Awesome. So what's your decision and commitment? And I asked this because there's some research that if you say you intend to do something and you make a public declaration, you're more likely to follow through on it. So do you intend to dabble in self-publishing and trying to figure this out with trial and error, frustration, wasted time, money, and energy? Or do you intend to learn and master the principles of book selling in the shortest possible time, least amount of stress, and at an investment that's reasonable for any serious committed author? Let me know what your intention is and what your commitment is. And I'll, as you probably predict is coming up, I'm going to share with you a resource that you can go further with me if you'd like to do it. this is not about whether you go deeper with me or get any training with me. This is about your commitment, and you might find someone else or some other resource that helps you. That's all good. The key thing is make that decision, make that commitment that you are going to write that book. You are going to finish it. You are going to master it. You are going to launch it. Because I can tell you from experience, if it's a dabbled approach and it's like, I'm kind of sort of did a book launch, but I really didn't put that much energy into it, it ends up almost being better to just be all in or all out. And not everything in life is like that. In this case, I would say all in, all out. Either way, it's good. Make that decision. And then if you're all in, really go all in and master the process. So I invite you to share that in the chat box. Some of you have already said. Mastery, just not the right time now. So with that, Dagmar, I would say that the right time, you decide mastery, and then you work out the game plan. If that takes you a year-long journey to mastery, that's all good. I mean, really, mastery could be a 10-year-long process if you look at like to really master something. You make the decision, and then you continuously take the steps there. The speed isn't important. It's that continuous action once you've decided mastery. So you got all in, 100% committed, partner with an expert. Yes. Another thing about right time, and this isn't necessarily for you, Dagmar. This is in general. One of the things that helps me when I'm like not feeling that sense of urgency and it's taking me a long time to get something done, I go, who is going to suffer because I don't get this work out there? That motivates me. And I think many of you, from what I see, you're committed to helping other people, making a difference in the world. The longer it takes you to get your work out there, the more uncertainty and some of that dabbling, which once again might not apply to you, but the more that happens with someone, which I've gone through, I'm dabbling, I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to perfect it and do all this and that, the longer people are suffering who need my message and who need what I have to share. And so I invite you to think about who really needs what you have and how much are they going to be missing out if you are not really making sure to get in and get that sense of urgency to get things out to them. So would it be all right to share with you how I can assist you? I think many of you have said yes to that. So let's go right into it. I'm giving a handful of students access to personal training and coaching on how to create a thriving book-based business that earns 4 to 5 figures a month. High impact books, how to create high impact books that make a positive difference in the world and transform the readers, and a system that runs relatively hands-free. So ultimately, once you get the pieces in place, you can get autopilot marketing and promotion of your book going, so you can let the books market and promote you rather than you having to constantly try to market and promote your books. So this is the Inner Circle. It's an elite collection of top-tier training courses. I've been training this since 2013. Authors, I've worked with thousands of authors who have gone through the courses that I put together. You're going to get all the best courses, resources, and materials designed to take you to the top 1% of self-published authors. That's the intention. That's the goal. Everyone's results are going to be different. This is A to Z, proven, transferable process, creating and launching a best-selling book. It's not just what to do. It's not saying go get reviewers. Right? It's like, okay, well, I know to do that. It's like, how do you do that? What are the emails that you send? How do you phrase it so that they're excited to leave a book review versus feeling like it's going to be a chore to have to do? It's the psychological process that makes a big difference in how you do all these steps. And you also get monthly coaching calls. So you get that feedback and you figure out also what's working right now. 2018, Amazon's algorithm, many of the things are evergreen. Things do update and change, and you want to be up to date with what's most relevant right now, today, in the self-publishing space. That's what the Inner Circle does for you. So it's for brand new authors. If you're just writing your first book, many of you are just in the idea phase. You're not even sure yet. This is going to show you how to research, how to validate the ideas, build your audience, and launch your bestseller where it goes to bestseller within that first week or the first week or two. Once you get the book up to really launch it successfully. Intermediate authors, if you got a book out, some of you said you had a book out, you want to increase your sales, you want to get more reviews, you want to create a sustainable business around this. And if you're advanced and you have multiple books out, that's actually sometimes even those who see the best results because they already have so many books. They make one tweak. Maybe it's just the advertising methods I teach. And you'll hear a testimonial in a moment. An author had multiple books out selling really well, then it tripled his book sales in a month of implementing just a couple of the strategies, especially on book advertising. So I'll take you through the process of book creation, the exact services to validate your ideas before you even write your book, what you must include in your book to get leads. Just putting a book up on Amazon, you don't collect the leads for that. You need things in your book to get the lead collection and where to take people after they get the book. How to write a red hot description that practically forces readers to want to buy your book. Access to my cover designer. You want to get a cover design, 30, 50 bucks, right? Instead of $500, I'll give you access to my cover design so you can get them professionally designed at a fraction of what you spend elsewhere, which that alone can pay for some of you. And then the book launch mastery. So how do you launch it? An in-depth case study. You'll see behind the scenes exactly what I did to launch and sell over 631 copies of a book in 5 days. Which sites I use to promote. What are the book promotion sites worth spending your money on? Which ones aren't worth spending your money on? Exactly how to get reviews for a brand new book starting from scratch. This is using the ultimate review getting method and template. This is the way that you can ethically and within terms of service incentivize a review without incentivizing a review. So it's a bit paradoxical. Once again, you can't incentivize them to leave a review on Amazon, but there's a clever workaround that gets people excited to leave a book review and all remains within terms of service. And then how to use giveaways to build your email list even as a brand new author. So in depth on the giveaway strategy. The exact emails and social media posts that create engagement. So this is the copywriting. This is where I do show you examples of, hey, here's the headlines I use. Here's the exact email copy. Here's how I set it up. Here's why I did it. You can see that and of course model it. I mean, it's not to copy. It's you model it and you get the principles so you can apply it to your strategies. And then you also get the autopilot book sales mastery. This is all about AMS ads. So you get the most powerful way to make endless book sales on autopilot. I'll take you behind the scenes to find what the best keywords are. And if you're only targeting typical keywords, you're going to have a lot of competition. You're going to be missing out on a lot of sales. You find the unconventional keywords that can lead to a lot of sales, which are really surprising, but I happened across it just with a lot of testing and research. This is crazy. My caveat, you really got to use this ethically. It's within terms of service with everything. You are allowed to do it. I have a personal sense of ecology. Is it good for me? Is it good for others? Is it good for the world? So there is a fine line where you can do this, but done ethically, in about 20 seconds, it increased my royalties by hundreds of dollars each month. Now, this truly, for some authors, is going to pay for this entire investment if you do this one thing. And then the tricks I discovered to scale these ads up for significant sales that most authors will never know. This is the big thing. I know Omar was excited about this. What if you just had hundreds of keywords all ready to go in your category? You know, personal development, self-help, business books. I'm pretty sure I have the list for those already up there in the membership area. You can just download done for you keyword research. Still, please do your own keyword research. Learn the process. I teach you how to do it for your own specific book. But I got a lot of keyword research that's already been done, ready to go. So in less than 2 hours, you can be up and running with this. So this is dabbler versus master. Here's an ad, or if I was just dabbling at it when I spent $10, made $0 in sales. I could have said that doesn't work, but I'm committed to mastery, kept going, learned how to turn it around to $63 and spend to $412 in sales. Here you can see the potential scale of it, $1,200 plus to get $4,194. So we're not talking about $5 extra a month. We're talking about some serious impact in your book sales. Easy implementation, quick start videos, email support. That's the big thing. I email back and forth with you to help you get going with these ads, answer your questions, help you make adjustments, a step-by-step checklist. Then the Healthy Habit Revolution case study. How do you connect with influencers? You're going to see exactly how I did it, what I did, the rock star method of getting their attention, where it's like you will be unignorable. They can't ignore you. Very few people can ignore you when you do what I share in this case study of how I got people to promote the book for free. And you can apply these same methods to get influencers to promote your book for free to their audiences of thousands of people that costs you nothing.
Hey, Derek, let me ask you something real quick on that.
Yep.
Is that without a list? Like you don't need to be like a big, influencer yourself to do that?
You don't need to be a big influencer. No, when I started out 50 Fitness Tips, I had maybe like less than 100 people on my list. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was more, but like I was a no-name. Obviously, if you do have a big following, you can do more. I really designed these principles. And if you have questions, well, Derek, I'm just starting out. What are some of the things I can do? That's part of the email support. We can strategize together. But you'll see ways of getting people excited to work with you, even if you don't have a big following or you're just starting out. one of the things that is key for that, and I think this goes without saying, but I'll point it out, you do want to have something that's really valuable. You know, your book really needs to solve a problem and be something that they are going to get excited about, going, wow, they have a great book, right? Because think about it, they need to want to share that with their audience. If they go, and it's, I know it wouldn't apply to anyone here, that's just one of those things that if you position it, this is part of it, but there's more to it. If you position it in a way that they go, it's a win for them to share your book with their audience, that's one of the biggest keys, because now you're giving value and you're making them the hero for their audience with your book. So this is Brenda. In 2 weeks' time, she never had more than $250 of sales before, and now she had $350 in just 2 weeks of implementing some of the strategies I shared with her. Melanie, who went through this, she emailed me. She was having some issues, emailed me. I told her exactly what to do. She went down from 150,000 to 30,000. The lower the number, the better. That's the closer you are to number one. So this is in the entire Kindle store. In a nutshell, that's a really good ranking increase. This is Ari Witten. He has books in health and fitness. He was already very successful, making a lot of book sales. And then on top of his already great sales, he said it tripled to quadrupled his book sales with nearly 300% ROI. So with this, you get a live mastermind call. You bring your book in the call once it's on Amazon. We'll take a look at it and we'll answer your questions. You'll get feedback on your title, your cover, your description. Richard just told me, because of the feedback he got on this call, his book, which was already selling decently well, he changed the cover based off the feedback, and his book sales tripled. He already had a good cover, but he got some feedback from the group. We worked on it. We masterminded with him, and his book sales increased, tripled, because he made that one change that he wouldn't have thought to make, but it's because you're a part of this mastermind in this group where people are really radically honest. I don't reveal anyone's names as we're sharing the feedback. So it's like, people, you might have your book ripped apart, but it's good because it'll get ripped apart for some people and then it gets put back together the way that's really optimal to make sales. It allows you to learn from other people's questions and experiences. Calls are recorded and includes all the prior month calls. And the new Thinking Success Secrets a mentor taught me that led to my big breakthrough that didn't come from self-publishing. A lot of those relationship and influence skills, plus a 30-minute coaching call with me. Pick my brain about book marketing, my personal resources, and save countless hours of research. So you don't have to try to figure out what to do next. I will work with you to help you. This is some more feedback, helped her become a #1 bestseller. So ultimately, you see the total value is $3,044. I put a question mark next to the Healthy Habit Revolution case study because that could be almost like, for me, relationships have been probably worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in income, but if no one does anything with it, then it's worth nothing. So it's really up to you, the value of that. The package price, this is a package that does sell for $997 when you get it all together. So just for Omar, I'm going to include a few other bonuses. I'm going to go through these a little quick because I just want to get the gist of what it's going to be for you. A breakthrough transformational book, breakthrough masterclass. If you're writing a transformational book, I'm going to share with you the psychology of how to create a transformational book, a book that transforms the readers in their thinking as they go through the book. So there's some psychological things you need to do with that, and the specific tips being in the self-help personal development space that I've learned about marketing these types of books. Book title training. You get the ways you title a book, and you also, this is the big thing, 500 of the most intriguing titles I've ever seen for reference, but also broken down into category and templates that are like fill in the blank templates for your title. So it takes a lot of the thought out of it, where it's like, I spent days researching the best titles and I put it together to make it really easy for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so copy and paste templates, the questions your title must answer, and then books that sell for $97 value. By the way, these do sell on their own. Books that sells for a couple $100. Like it really sells, this course. This is a bonus just for your group, Omar. Really freaking hard to screw up formulas that make a book sell like crazy. There's really powerful types of books that you can create that are going to make you stand out from all the competition, so it's not another Me Too book. The words and phrases, if you already have a book out, you can instantly improve the quality of your description and your conversion just by adding in some of these things. Very copy-paste, very just model what's in there. And a simple statement that takes about 10 seconds to say that generates your unique selling points. Real-life case studies. This is really the psychology of a book that sells. So if all this did, I'll be selling extra $10 a day for $3,650 a year. Would it be worth it? Just $10 a day would be an extra $3,000 plus dollars in book sales. Would it be worth it? Or if it saves you 10 hours a month to spend time with your friends, family, and doing what you love, would it be worth it? And if it gives you the confidence and clarity to know you now have everything you need to reach your ideal readers, change their lives for the better, have them emailing you messages of gratitude, and do this all while having an abundance of extra time, energy, money, because it's all been taken care of for you, would it be worth it? So it's got a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can get in. You can see the value of it. If for some reason it's just not the right fit for you or I'm not the right instructor for you, it's all good. You can get your money back. And it's step-by-step everything you need for beginner to advanced. So one thing to consider as you decide if you're going to invest in this, one of my mentors, Brandon Broadwater, that's who I learned from at that seminar back in 2011. He was at or 2012. He was at a turning point where he wanted to master real estate. He was at a seminar. There's a real estate course offered for a few $1,000s. He's like, but I don't have the money. And he goes to his wife and thinking like she's not going to, she was the conservative one, right? So she's not going to want me to do this. But she asked him like, are you really going to want to like learn real estate and do this? He's like, yeah, just like many of you said, like, I really am going to master self-publishing. And she goes, well, okay, you can either spend your money learning or lose your money learning. Either way, you're going to learn. And so she was like giving him the push, like, wait a second, if you're going to do this, it's going to be a lot more affordable and a lot less time wasted to just learn from someone who knows how to do this. So he made the decision. He's since become a multimillionaire in real estate. What I'm doing is something special, 5 days only, just for Omar's audience. I'm doing something special for you guys. And I'm going to do everything half off with monthly payments. So what this means is you can get started for $48.50 today. It's normally $97 a month for 12 months or a total of $997. You can get it for about a little less than $500 pay in full or 12 monthly payments of $48.50. I make this a no-brainer. Get in this. I know once you're in, you're going to see the value of it and you're going to want to continue past the 30 days. So once again, you can get started now at ebookbestsellersecrets.com/innercircleomar. And after you enroll, what happens, you get course access. You'll get a link. It's going to give you access to a few of the different courses that you have access to, or all the different courses you have access to. And then you can email me about setting up a coaching call. You can take it right away if you're ready to really get into it, or you go, Derek, I want to go through some of the training first, and then we'll set up a coaching call. It's all good whenever you want to do that. So get started now at ebookbestsellersecrets.com/innercircleomar. Please go to that link and let me know if it works. Let me know if the link works for all of you. And then if you have any questions, I'll be happy to go through them right now.
All right. I actually put another link in there. That's my own pretty link in there. It goes to the one with the coupon already set up. So I haven't tested the one that you just shared right now.
Okay. So either way.
Yeah. So Derek, so we are taking questions now, you guys, and honestly, that was amazing. By the way, Derek, thank you so much for sharing that. If you guys realize this value, what you're getting here, you're basically going to get a coach to show you everything that it's taken him, thousands of dollars and years of testing and testing things out and losing and failing to get the actual formula created for you to, just become a best-selling author, like in almost no time, right?
Yeah.
Duplicatable. So, yeah, anyway, Derek, thanks again. And we're going to get to questions, but sorry, go ahead, Derek. You had something to say?
Yeah. And so I do see the question from Dagmar, how do you do all this in 5 days? So let's give a little bit of context. What is it? How much time does it actually take to be successful? So when I launched How to 50 Fitness Tips You Wish You Knew, from the time I was done with the book to the time it was on Amazon to the time it was promoted to bestseller, it was just like a couple weeks. It took me probably about less than a week, maybe about 5 days, or about a week to set up all the promotions and do all that sort of stuff. So you could say like, wow, that seems like an overnight success. Well, yes, but it also is because I built the foundation first. And it really took me 10 years of knowledge of learning about health and fitness, and it took a lifetime of experience. So I don't want to give people the impression that like this is an overnight thing. We're talking about building your foundation. And that's what we're going to teach in this. How do you build your foundation? How do you build the relationships and all that sort of stuff? And that might take a couple months. It might take even longer to really gain the experience and how to do that. So we're not talking about like you just instant success. Mastery takes time. What does happen is once you have the foundation in place, the actual time to do a book launch, it can be in 5 days or less. In fact, you want to get a lot of those sales in a 5-day period. That's the period where you hit bestseller status. And if you really have the right connections and relationships and can do some of these things, once again, to set up and submit to enrollment site or book promotion sites and these things, it's not a super time consuming thing. Like that aspect of it doesn't take a lot of time. What does take more time, I find, is getting the mindset right, is figuring out the path and figuring out the strategy. So I've sort of blazed that trail for in terms of what it takes to do on Amazon. And then you're still going to want to find what's right for your book, what's right for your situation, what's right for your strategy. I don't give one size fits all approaches. And that's where the personal coaching and question and answering comes in. Because on a call with you, I will go, what are your goals? Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a different launch strategy for you. Or we're going to focus a little bit more on this area, less on that area. And that's the kind of custom tailoring that you need. Because if you just go to any course, my own included, I knew when I created this, I just give like, here's what you do to become a bestseller. There's going to be a lot of things in there that could be overwhelming, but not all of it's relevant. Not all of it's right for everyone. So that's why the group coaching and the personal one-on-one coaching call is so important to make sure that it's tailored to your unique goals.
Yeah, and you guys can actually start using this yourself if you wanted to. But like Derek said, his mentor's wife said, is it going to cost you? I mean, is it more expensive to do it on your own, or is it, more expensive, or is what's cheaper? Paying doing yourself, or just hiring someone to show you the shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, honestly, he just showed you everything: Kindle, direct publishing, Amazon marketing services. That, you guys, is the way in. That's your way in. If you want to just go to Google and try to search and do it yourself, spend the money on ads to see for yourself. It's not as easy as it looks, and Derek has a lot of experience doing it so successfully and helping hundreds of people do it. So it's a huge value of what you're getting when you work with Derek. So, anyways, one point.
Yeah. Thanks, Omar.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, Lexi, ISBN numbers. So yeah, I talk about uploading your book to create space and things like that are covered. Pricing, best strategies. So yeah, that is covered. If you're asking me right now for it, that's one of those things that is going to be a very it depends. What are your goals? So for instance, with pricing, some authors, they do want to sell their book for a lower price because it's more about lead generation and selling things on the back end. Other authors, they want to price it a little higher because it gives it higher perceived value. There's no right or wrong. It's what makes sense and what works for your unique situation. Okay, so Eileen, there are many things that you can do if your book is published by a publishing house. So you can run ads through advantage.amazon.com for your book. In fact, I could run ads. Any of us could run ads for anyone's book using advantage.amazon.com. So Amazon Advantage, basically. So it is possible to do all those advertising strategies for that. In terms of, will it help you boost it? So yes. And then there's other strategies that you can do, building your email list, all of that. Going with a publishing house, I mean, every publishing house might be different, but many of them, they still expect you to do all your book marketing or most of your book marketing and promotion. So you still need to learn basically book marketing, whether you go with a publisher or not, which is actually why many people are now choosing to do self-publishing. It's like, well, I got to figure this all out anyway.
Hey, Derek, I have some questions of my own. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm. Yep, go for it.
So you guys remember, keep putting your questions in the chat box and we'll get to them. So I wanted to ask, how do you come up with the price for your book? How do you price it?
Mm-hmm. So one thing to note for an ebook, between $2.99 and $9.99, you get a 70% royalty. If it's 99 cents, you only get 30 or 35%. I don't remember offhand. So what that means is you're incentivized to keep it between $2.99 and $9.99 for the ebook. And then usually the print book's going to be a little bit more than that, usually between about $10 to $20 for the print book. It depends on the page length. It depends on some of these other things for the print book. So you can do 99 cents for some books that you would like to be more of like a entry into a funnel, a book to just get more volume of sales. And that can make sense. There's another strategy of having what's called a perma-free book, a book that's constantly free and used for lead generation. So in a nutshell, lower book price is good if you just want to get volume of sales, but $2.99 to $9.99 is the spot where you really want to make more royalties and give it a higher perceived value. What's the best price range in there? Partly a test and see process, and partly market research of what the other books similar to yours are selling at.
Right on. What do you say to someone who's just starting out, who's never written a book before, is the first book, and they don't have much of a following either, and they're coming out with a book that's $19.99?
For a $19.99 print book could be okay. I wouldn't have the ebook priced at that, and you would want to have both. I would really recommend having both a print book and an ebook, even an audiobook then also, if it makes sense. Okay. So $19.99, it's fine. You know, this is where you could even get into selling on Amazon versus selling on your own website. If you don't have a big following though, then that's an advantage of Amazon, is they can help generate traffic to the book. So you can do $19.99. I wouldn't go beyond that, but you can certainly do it. And with ads, it can definitely sell. The key thing is it's less, and this is a business principle, it's less about the price and more about how much value you can build. That's your copywriting skills. That's having a book that people want, having the value, presenting it in such a way that it becomes where it's like, it's worth $19.99. The other principle is see what the market bears. So you'd have it at $19.99, but you might test it then at $14.99 for a couple weeks and go, am I making more sales and profit at $14.99 or $19.99? And you test and see. So some of these, it's just like the world's smartest marketers. They can come up with all kinds of great ideas, but what do? They run tests. They run split tests. They try out different things because there's something that you just can't predict until you see what happens in the real world.
Right on. All right, you guys, we're at the end of the meeting here. The time has come, and just hold on a sec real quick. So everyone, thank you again, everyone, for being here, and thank you for investing in your education and learning how to be a bestseller. Make sure you go to that link right here to get yourself in the Inner Circle program. Thank you again, Derek. Thank you, everyone, of course. Actually, should we unmute everyone? Say hello.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to unmute everyone now so you guys can say goodbye and all your thank yous and all that.
Thank you, Derek. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Derek. That was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Cool. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.